thing that's going to work is radiation. So, the question is, how efficient is it? Back to chemistry. Specific heat of the human body is 470 joules per Kelvin degrees Celsius. I can never get that out. Alright, so we are basically pretty good absorbers and keepers of energy. We also radiate about 100 watts. What? 100 watt light bulb? We should be glowing. Why do we glow? Well, because all that wattage is spread out over our entire surface area of our bodies. If we compacted it in a little bit of filament, yes, we would be glowing. Alright, the average human, about Spike's size, is about my size, I'm 150. We'll convert that to kilograms to make our units work out right. We weigh 68 kilograms, let's multiply this together correctly. Multiply, divide, and it turns out that he would be losing 0.000424 degrees Celsius every second. Which means if he was in space for 60 seconds, he would have cooled off by 0.025 degrees Celsius. This one is actually right. He should not have frozen. The Disney movie where he suddenly goes out the airlock and turns into an ice block. No, you don't turn into an ice block. You start radiating away your heat. But it's not very efficient. So you'll stay perfectly warm, but that's not your big issue. So in the anime world, you get 60 seconds of consciousness. When you get to the other ship, sure, take a deep breath, you're cool. In reality, you get 15 seconds of consciousness. In anime, no real physical effects. He's just like, whatever, I know this is cool, I do this all the time. In reality, oh, it's not good. And in anime, apparently he has a high chance of survival, otherwise he wouldn't have been dumb enough to do it, I hope. And in reality,
he's a badass.
7% mortality rate. Not good odds. So we will call this one. Alright, next up. Who's seen Afro Samurai? If you haven't, don't worry about it. See the second one though.
Yeah, it is.
Alright, so this is a clip from the end of the second Afro Samurai movie. He just got his butt kicked by his evil zombie daddy. His buddy Gino, the robot cyborg dude, just got his butt kicked too. Afro Samurai's laying in a pool of his own blood and it's expanding and expanding. And well, let's just see what happens. It's alive! So the idea is that Afro's sitting there dead, and his pool of blood comes in contact with the cyborg buddy. The electricity from the cyborg arcs across the blood through Afro's body, and it acts like a defibrillator and revives him. Is this gonna work? No!
Only in anime world.
Alright. The first problem is that defibrillators don't fix things like broken bones, blood loss, but they're meant to cure things where your blood or your heart picks up a charge, and that charge on your heart is interfering with signals from the brain. By dumping a huge charge on there and allowing it to be dumped onto the other side of the paddle, that clears it, which basically allows your heart to function normally. That's not what happened here. But let's assume it was. Let's assume the blood had nothing to do with it. Let's just assume he's laying there because he just had a heart attack. Will we be able to get enough voltage? Well, let's figure that out. First off, a defibrillator uses about 1,000 volts. It only goes from about here to here, but with Afro, his arm's stretched out, it's going all the way across the arm, through the heart, so it's about 4 times the distance. So we're not going to need 1,000 volts, we need 4,000 volts. That's just from his finger, though, to across the heart. How many people have done stuff with electronics ever? Who has ever plugged in something that has that third socket, that third prong on it? What that is for is that is called the ground. Basically, too much electricity builds up, it dumps it down that third thing and dumps it into the ground. The ground can absorb a lot of electricity all very quickly. So I sat and watched this and I'm like, what the heck? The cyborg dude's already in contact with the ground. Why wouldn't it just dump straight to the ground? And so why is it going all the way across the blood, through a body, and then to the ground?
Magic.
Electricity doesn't take the longest route, it takes the shortest. It should go straight to the ground. And I sat there thinking, something's wrong with this. And then I tried to drop a toaster into the bathtub. Oh wait, that was probably not a good idea. But if it really worked that way, then I should be completely fine doing that, because why would the electricity travel through the water, through me, and then to the ground? Why didn't it just go straight to the ground? Obviously, something's going on, so I had to sit and think about it some more. And what it ends up being is that if you try to put too much charge in one place at one time, you get a buildup of electrons and you get back pressure. Because the electrons are already there, electrons are all negative, and they repel each other, So if you're trying to put more in, what's already you dumped there is pushing back. So that's the problem with that, and that's why it's going to spread. You may have heard about this before. This is a bunch of dead cows. This is a field out in the middle of BFE, I don't even know where in the U.S. But basically there was a really bad thunderstorm. These cows were all hanging out next to a fence. The fence got struck with lightning and you got a bunch of beef and sluts for dinner. You don't want to stand under trees during thunderstorms because that back current is going to push the electrons out. And what you're going to get is the trees over here, or the fence post is over here. It's got high current over here, low current over here, flows this way, flows through your body, and can kill you. That's not good. So the question is, how much voltage is it going to take to get that 4,000 volts from the arm to across the heart? Now, I pulled this out of a book called Lightning, Physics and Effects. That's how much current we're going to be dealing with here. We're not talking about plugging something into a wall socket, we're plugging lightning bolts into a wall socket here, basically. So what I got is I got all this stuff. I want to get 4,000 volts. A is the beginning distance, B is the ending distance. I just plugged in some numbers, and since we started a little late, I'm going to blow through this rather quickly. I solved this for the amount of current we're going to need, because basically that means that's how much current is going to be running through our Geno cyborg buddy. Solve this, plug everything in. It turns out the amount of current needed to power Geno to get 4,000 watts across Afro's chest is about 8,500 kiloamps. I didn't have to use scientific notation for that. That's not a big number, is it? It's not that bad, really. It's kiloamps. Kilo means 1,000, so it's 8,500,000, which means 8,500,000 amps. What the heck's an amp? Well, let's try to put this in perspective. Let's talk about lightning, since that's the topic. Turns out a large lightning strike gives off 120 kiloamps. Geno is equal to about 70 large lightning strikes. In other words, Geno is more akin to Zeus. Next up, though, let's go to tension. How many seen that? Okay, this comes from the third major story arc. There's eclipse happening. This is going to be so exciting.
Don't look into it.
I can see it happening. Look, there goes the moon. It's covering the sun. Da 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 da. They're just sitting there, chilling, watching it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that was boring, wasn't it? Wow. But consider this, it would be much more boring if you were to actually watch that in real time, because that doesn't take 1 minute. What you just saw took an hour. A real eclipse, here's some of the basic math behind it, or geometry. You got the Earth over here. The moon goes around the Earth, and when it gets in the way of the sun, it makes a shadow on the Earth. It's not a big shadow, it's this little skinny one, and so it's only a localized phenomenon. So have you ever seen Heroes when they're all watching the eclipse from like different points in the world? No. They're over here, they're over here, the shadow's only right here. It wouldn't work. So that's busted, but we're not talking about that, we're talking about tension. So, cutting back to this, a full eclipse in the real world takes about 2 hours, in anime world it takes over 1 minute. So it converts all the same units, meaning that the anime moon will move 120 times as fast. Alright, so let's get some numbers here to work with. The real orbital period of the moon takes 29 days, 12 hours, and 44 minutes to go all the way around the Earth and come back to the same point relative to the sun. Anime moon is 1/120th of that, so it does it in 0.246 days. Okay, some other numbers we're going to need. We're going to need the mass of the moon, the mass of the Earth, and we're going to need to know how far away the moon is, because we can use Newton's revisionist Kepler's third law, which basically relates all of this. How long the orbital period is, for how far away it is, and how big the masses are. Really, we have 3 variables to play with here. This little funny half pi t looking thing, that's the orbital period. That's what we need to get, because we're trying to set it to what it actually is in anime. So we can play with A. A is how far away the moon is. We got M1 and M2, which are the mass of the moon and the sun. I'm sorry, the mass of the moon and the Earth. Turns out we can't really play with A because that would make the moon further away, which means it would look smaller, which means it wouldn't really cover the whole sun. That can't work. We can't move it closer because then it would be too big, so that won't work. We can't really play with A. We gotta leave that constant.